Chill.
Hello Marvel Legends and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behavior, and today we are going to do another team building exercise, and this is a fun one. But before we get started, I keep forgetting to say this, so I highly recommend you go and join the Model Behavior Discord server. The link is in the description below, and on there you can talk to like-minded people all about action figures, Marvel Legends, photography, and all points in between. Now then, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. I can't believe they didn't have that song in the Mulan movie. That was just a bad call all around that film, but I digress. We are going to build the Red Hulk Thunderbolts, so let's do it. First of all, of course, you got to start with the big guy himself. We have the Red Hulk, General Ross. This was a character who was a real man of mystery when he first appeared in the comics. No one knew who the Red Hulk was. That was the whole thing going forward. Who is this Red Hulk character? And of course it was eventually revealed as General Ross, and everyone was like, okay, that makes sense, I guess. And it's kind of fun because he was a classic sort of character who was, of course, the Hulk's main antagonist. And, he was always like, no one should have this much power. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's a villain. He's a menace.
But say, General Ross, what if we were to give you that power?
Oh, what? I can have the power?
And you promise you won't abuse it?
Oh, okay, yeah, of course. No. The right person should have the power.
Well, I guess they call me Colonel Homer because I'm some dumbass army guy.
And in this case, he became the Red Hulk, and he was a badass character. Like, people really dug the Red Hulk. I mean, you would have thought if someone said, hey, how about a new Hulk character, right? Get this. He's the Hulk, but he's red. It would be like, oh, dude, you are really running out of ideas. But this actually worked really, really well. That's what happens. You can have like a stupid idea. Red Hulk is a stupid idea. It's the Hulk, but it's red. Wow. Slow golf clap for that genius creative idea. But it works when it's well written. So the Red Hulk became a fan favorite character. So of course he would spin off into different stories. And this particular Marvel Legend, take a look at this guy. First of all, using the Hulk 80th anniversary mold, so of course it's going to look great with the detailing on the jeans, the rips. He's got the seams there as well, which looks so nice, stretched over. The figure itself, really, really great. And of course, on the chest, you've got a slightly lighter color, so there's some airbrushing going on there that just brings out the design more. And little things that I keep forgetting to mention. He's got like the black nails, the fingernails and the toenails are a different color. It's a small touch, but it really makes a big difference. Then, of course, you check out the face and you've got the gnarly looking, lines and the scowl. And the fact that the red paint around the eyes is slightly darker really adds so much more depth to the character. The muscle definition in the deltoids, it's just, there's so much attention to detail here. It just looks fantastic. Then, of course, you can throw on the extras, the accoutrements, which are the ultimate Green Goblin flames. And it is kind of crazy that this figure didn't come with these. The whole point of the Red Hulk is that his kind of gimmick is that the angrier he gets, the physically hotter he becomes. So if anyone says like, come on man, you don't need to get hot about it, literally, he gets hot about these things. So he bursts into flames, which is really cool. So it's bonkers that Hasbro didn't give flame effects for him. But luckily, the Green Goblin effects work great on him. So I managed to pick up an extra set of those. Plus, just for fun, I took the Red Hot Molten Girder that was part of the Molten Man Build-A-Figure, and I gave him that to hold on to. So it looks like he's just picked this thing up as a weapon, and already it's just burning and melting in his hand. So that's really cool. Throw in the angry mouth and the yellow eyes. He's just a really awesome figure. So that is the General Ross Red Hulk, and the reason he forms the Thunderbolts, or this iteration of the Thunderbolts, is because he has made some messes around the world in his role as General. He's put some dubious people in power, and now he needs to oust them because, lo and behold, they were murderous dictators. And that's where the Red Hulk Thunderbolts come in, is to clean up the messes that General Ross has made. He's like, ooh, I got some loose ends here. I need a covert team of people who don't mind murdering folks. So we have a really fun rogues gallery. So joining the Red Hulk, we have the one guy who just loves killing. He's nuts for killing, can't get enough of it. The Punisher. And Frank Castle is like, this wasn't a tough sell for him. He's like, wait, so I get to go around the world murdering bad guys? Done. Okay, so he signs up.
Now, of course, the gimmick with these Thunderbolts is that they're all black and red, so they have red versions of their regular costumes. I'm not really a customizer, and I don't want to ruin my nice legend, so I'm just sticking with the generic colors.
This is the Walgreens Punisher with a couple of extras that I've thrown in there. He's got the baseball bat and the Uzi from the Punisher Rider figure, which I think that the guns and the accessories for that rider just look so great. And then the red bandana head, this is from the vintage retro carded Punisher. So throw all those together, along with the actual, the gun belt, the holster, and the darker colored belt that come with the Walgreens Punisher, it just makes a really kind of fun combination where you get sort of the grittier sort of nuances of the more sort of street type Punisher, but then you've got the bright, bold white colors of the classic retro design. Throw in there the mean sort of scowl and the nice kind of like 5 o'clock shadow, which shows that, this is a guy who hasn't slept for a while and, is taking his job very, very seriously. I just think that makes for a really, really awesome looking Punisher. So already the team is starting to take shape, and you get the idea that this is maybe not the most kind of like family-friendly version of the Thunderbolts.
Next up, we have that ninja badass, Elektra Nachios.
Again, a character who doesn't mind murdering people if they're all bad. It's classic, True Lies kind of thing. It's like, you killed these people? Yeah, but they were all bad. That's pretty much Elektra. And I've been a little sneaky. You see these sais she's holding? Yeah, not the Marvel Legends sais, because Marvel Legends sais are like wibbly wobbly noodles. They don't look good, but these are the NECA sais, baby. These are the badass sais. And they're nice, they're straight, they look great. So there's a foot soldier who's looking for his equipment, but Elektra took it. What are you gonna do about it, hey? And yeah, so Elektra joins the team and she kind of fits in great with these guys. She's like, yeah, gonna kill the bad guys. Let's do it. And the Elektra figure is one that I've always been very kind of partial to after getting her. When I first got her, well, I didn't get her at first. That was the whole point. I wasn't that fussed about her. And then I realized she's actually a decent figure and such a prominent Marvel character. I owe it to myself to have her. I'm not a big fan of the bandana look. I prefer Elektra when she's got more of just like a headband and the hair's kind of flowing, but this is definitely classic Elektra. This is like Frank Miller, Daredevil, sort of, old school Elektra. So I kind of dig that. And she looks decent as a figure. And in the Thunderbolts comics, she was initially drawn by Steve Dillon, who I just love as an artist. And I think he captured her really, really well.
So the only real gripe I have about the figure is the fact that because of her long hair, you don't really have much head movement because the plastic gets in the way, just what it does. And also because of her female form, she's a little bit sort of spindly-bindly. So you will see some pictures of her in quite dynamic poses, but those are just for photography. Because trust me, unless you have her on a nice solid kind of stance, she will fall over pretty easily.
Now, because it's a Marvel team from the mid-2000s, we have to have Deadpool. And this is a Deadpool who actually, I didn't mind having him on the team. Sometimes, Deadpool has that kind of Wolverine problem where it's like, oh, it's a team, it must have Wolverine. And then that was quickly taken over by Deadpool. But Deadpool worked with this dynamic really well because they actually did something with him. It wasn't just, oh, well, it's a team book, so we got to have Deadpool. They made a fun kind of love triangle type situation between Deadpool, Frank Castle, and Elektra. Well, that wasn't really a love triangle. We're not talking about a Scott Summers, Jean Grey, White Queen kind of thing. It was basically the Punisher and Elektra kind of hooked up, and Deadpool got jealous because he had a crush on Elektra. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're a crazy mercenary who kills a lot of folks. she's a mercenary who kills a lot of folks, it's meant to be. But it wasn't. So Deadpool's unrequited love made for some interesting, funny sort of dynamics where he kind of had a cat and mouse, Wile E. Coyote type thing with the Punisher, where he was, sometimes more obviously than others, quite happy for the Punisher to get killed. Just to kind of clear the way for his own romantic interests. And that actually made for quite a fun dynamic. And this Deadpool figure is one of my favorites. There is so much detail going on with this guy. It's a little bit crazy, and it shows what Hasbro can do when they really just decide randomly to push the boat out. Like, this wasn't a deluxe release or anything. This was a regular figure. He was just part of the Juggernaut wave. But they threw everything at this guy. So many different weapons. He's got the removable swords. He's got the knife in his boot. He's got handguns, knives, sharp sticks, harsh language, everything this Deadpool comes with. He even comes with a chimichanga. That's how well stocked and tooled this character is. He even has a unmasked head as well, which looks suitably gruesome. They really, really went to town with this guy. They went ham. They went full on ham, and it shows. The only thing that's a little bit funny with this figure is that his elbows are a little sort of weak. The elbow joints are very small and they feel kind of gummy. They don't really bend in the best kind of way, so it can limit his articulation a little bit. But really, when you have so much going on with this figure, you can't be too mad about it. Add to that, his masked face has like the little squint in one eye that gives so much sort of expression to the character. Then you throw on the brown belt and straps that kind of break up the red and black. This is a premier Punisher figure. Not Punisher, what am I talking about? Deadpool. But the only sort of thing is, I'm wondering, like, which do I prefer? Do I prefer this, or do I prefer the Rob Liefeld version? And it's a tough call because they're both Deadpool, but they're both very different in their own ways. But I think just for the amount of extras you get with this and the detail that goes into him, this guy is one of my favorites.
Now, the next character to join the team is the one that actually encouraged me to pick the book up when it was on the shelf, because he's just a big fan favorite of mine, and that is Flash Thompson, Agent Venom. And this was at a time when Flash Thompson was working for the US military, and they had got hold of the Venom symbiote, and they basically sort of gave it to him to use as a weapon of theirs, as a mercenary. Well, not really a mercenary, because he was working for the government, but he had this great sort of dynamic where you haven't seen this before, where the Venom symbiote is taken by someone who genuinely kind of has normal, non-crazy morals, and he's sort of trying to fight the good fight and be like a regular guy. And the fact that he was a soldier who, he lost his legs and had this whole character arc, and it really made the Venom symbiote a counterpoint to him, whereas before it was like the Venom symbiote was like a parasite that was looking to take advantage of its host. Because Flash didn't have legs, he was an amputee, the Venom symbiote really genuinely helped him. And it made this great symbiotic relationship, an actual symbiotic relationship where they both benefited. And it was a fun run. That was one of my favorite comic book runs, was Flash Thompson as Agent Venom. So they throw him in this Punisher, I keep saying Punisher, I've got Punisher on the brain. They throw him in this Thunderbolts book, and it works really well with the military kind of dynamic. And of course, just for the aesthetics, the white design goes red for this run. But of course, I'm not gonna mess up this figure with my terrible paintwork. And this is a nice figure that I don't want to mess up. A lot of people complain about the ball hips, and I kind of get it, but also not really. I think we hate ball jointed hips because that was a real throwback and we've moved beyond that. But people say, oh, I don't like the Agent Venom figure because he has the old ball hips, but you can't really see them. He's wearing the belt, and he has so many accessories around his belt, like his pack and his grenades and his knife, and just everything covers up the sins that are the ugly ball hips. So I'm not really mad about it because you can barely even notice them. Then throw in everything else that makes him Agent Venom with the fantastic shoulder pads that have that kind of beetle kind of texture. It's a very animalistic looking kind of thing, which they never did with any other Venom designs, but I really dig it. Similarly, on his shin guards,
he's got that same kind of beetly, rough kind of texture to it that just makes it really interesting to look at and have the light capture. For a figure that is almost completely black, he's really interesting because you can just move him around and see the way that the light captures it. It's a very, very effective piece. And just because it's fun to do, we also have his white counterpart. We have Agent Anti-Venom. And this guy's using a couple of extra guns that I threw on there because it's so much fun to have the tendrils holding those. And I love the white Agent Anti-Venom because he's everything that I said about the original, but because it's white, I feel like the details show up so much more. So it's incredibly fun and bold and dynamic looking of a figure. And it's a shame that they eventually killed off Flash Thompson. But yeah, the white Agent Anti-Venom is great because he's everything I've said before, plus the fact that you get the lovely kind of silver highlights and details that just bring a bit more color and therefore a bit more nuance and interest to the figure. Now, before the previous, sort of pockets and pouches that were just the same shade of black are now gray, so they stand out so much more. They make the character more interesting. And I would actually go so far as to say that Agent Anti-Venom was probably one of my favorite figures of, oh God, when was it? 2018 that he came out? Oh, geez Louise, that doesn't feel so long ago. But yeah, fantastic figure. He pops off the shelf with the bright white. So yeah, I love that guy. And now an interesting member of the team who maybe wasn't officially a member, but certainly featured prominently, and one you would never expect was Samuel Stearns, the leader. The red leader, because everyone has to be red in this story. So we had a red beetroot looking leader. Of course, I'm not going to paint this guy. I love this figure. He's one of my unsung heroes from last year. But this was a fun kind of element in the story where they go and they get the leader, and because General Ross is one of those sort of like you only need to know the information that I need you to know type people. He didn't clue in the team as to exactly what the plan was with the leader. So they track him down, they get hold of him, and then instantly, as soon as the Punisher sees him, he's like, oh, the leader, bang, and just pops a cap in his head and kills him. And Red Hulk's like, dude, he was with us. And Punisher's like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm the Punisher. So what actually happened, if I recall correctly, was that the Red Hulk, General Ross, he used a serum, some sort of formula, to basically kind of mind wipe the evil leader and replace his mind with like a dumbed down regular Joe type person, but kind of like neutering him basically. So he wasn't the threat that he was supposed to be or originally was. I think that's why he was actually red in color, because of what the Red Hulk had done to him. That kind of neutered him from being a mastermind evil villain. Of course, the Punisher didn't know that, so he was right to punish him. It's what he does, But ultimately, we get the old leader back in a big way too. It's cool how the story kind of unfolds. What eventually happens is that the Punisher gets annoyed, angry, because he's not allowed to sort of kill everyone who deserves killing. Because it's all political. General Ross is like, no. Yeah, I know this guy's a mass murderer, but we have to let him live. Punisher's like, well, that's not how I roll. So he leaves. And then there's a cool bit where the Punisher quits the team, goes back to his apartment, and there's a bomb there waiting for him with a note saying, you don't quit, you're fired. And of course, the bomb goes off, not killing the Punisher, because he's the Punisher. And he's like, oh, so that's how it's going to be? Y'all want to play like that? Well, I can play like Lionel Richie, baby, all night long. So the Punisher goes on a revenge spree trying to take out each member of the Thunderbolts. And the Punisher being the Punisher, he has a plan for everyone. So, he has a Hulk Buster suit. He has all these different ways and plans to take out each member of the Thunderbolts. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because there is one more member, and that is the Ghost Rider. Oh yeah, still one of my absolute favorite figures. This guy is so beautiful. I love this figure. So to have him in a team, because you don't often get the Ghost Rider in a team, what a great addition to the Red Thunderbolts, especially, with the flaming Red Hulk. Of course you're going to have a flaming skull-headed Ghost Rider to go with it. Actually, you got the skull from the Punisher, you got the flames from the Red Hulk. It just makes sense. And just look at this figure. I mean, I don't need to tell you how cool this is. Look at the detailing on the skull. Look at the wonderful brown wash on there that brings out all the details. Look at the fact that you can actually open and close the jaw. How nice is that it's hinged and articulated? Then you've got the little red dots, the penance stare in the eyes. So many great little additions that just make this figure so awesome. He's got his flaming chain that actually, it's fire at the top, and then it just blends beautifully down to the regular chain in his hand. The bike itself has been used so many times, but they're all great, but when you throw on like the flaming wheels and just all the hellfire that goes onto the cycle, it's absolutely great. The bike also comes with like a front shield kind of thing, which I took off because I think it looks fine, but it's like a little bit too much, I think. I just like the more basic motorbike.
So now what I would really like to see Hasbro do, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, is for them to do a 1990s style Ghost Rider. I keep forgetting if that's Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch or who it is behind the skull, but I want the Ghost Rider with the grey jeans and the black leather jacket with the spikes on the shoulders. That's my Ghost Rider that I always associate with the character. So come on, Hasbro, give us a 90s Ghost Rider.
Going back to my previous story of the Punisher trying to take out the Thunderbolts, speaking of preparation, the Punisher's like, well, Ghost Rider's a demon, I don't stand a chance against him. I know, I'm just gonna get a demon's sword. So he quite handily takes out this demon and takes his sword, so he has a weapon that he can use against Ghost Rider. And there's a really cool scene where the Ghost Rider uses his penance stare against the Punisher, and the whole point of the penance stare is it shows the victim all of the pain and suffering that they've caused people, and they feel all of that guilt all at once, and they feel the penance. He does that to the Punisher, and the Punisher's like, yeah, I don't feel any guilt for any of that. So it's completely sort of useless against him because the Punisher feels so vindicated and justified in everything he's done. So ultimately, of course, it turns out that it was the leader. Of course, it was the leader who planted the bomb in the Punisher's apartment and tricked him into thinking that the Thunderbolts had tried to murder him. It's like, that wily leader. So obviously his neutering didn't last very long, and he was back to his old ways and pretty much got the Punisher to take out all of the Thunderbolts. But of course, he didn't, and ultimately they get their revenge and all is right with the world. But that was the Red Hulk Thunderbolts. What an amazing team this was. It was short-lived, but it was a lot of fun, especially with Steve Dillon doing the initial art on the run. And then when artists and creative teams changed, they actually still maintained a really high standard. It was a great, consistent book with so many fun characters that just made it a wild ride to read. So double thumbs up for the Red Hulk Thunderbolts. Folks, that was my team building for today. I hope you enjoyed it. What other teams that we can make in Marvel Legends should I put together? Because this is just a lot of fun, and I hope you're getting a kick out of it. So comment below, let me know. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you really want to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way, keeps the lights on. And now it's time for the Data Blast with the best stuff that I found on Instagram. Check out the names of the creators and give them a follow because they do fantastic work. And until next time, keep displaying model behavior.